All right, we good?
We good.
All right. All right. Welcome to another episode of Them Smith Boys. How's it been going, man?
Hey man, it's been good, man. Just excited to get in and talk about this topic today.
Yeah, man. Today we're talking about a topic. We're talking about mentoring 101. It might not be what you're thinking. Offhand, we have some guests that are going to talk about from the world of business and education, and they're going to be giving us their insight on mentoring. Of course, I'm concerned about mentoring from the aspect of African Americans in the school system, but of course, we have people that are going to talk about more broader topics. But I'm excited and ready to get this thing going. What you got,
Yeah.
man?
Well, I mean, mentoring is I think mentoring is definitely very important. I think for the purposes of this podcast, we need to kind of reimagine what the word mentoring is.
Yeah.
Because I think most people when they hear it, they think mentoring is probably it's more formal in nature. That you actually that you so you can actively go out and seek someone if they have knowledge that you wish to attain, whether they be in the business
Yeah.
setting, whether that be just with your colleagues or just friends. But when it comes to mentoring, from my standpoint, I think we can take it a little further and just kind of define it as a relationship, because mentoring at its simplest is a relationship between two people, that involve passing on knowledge, advice, and things of that nature in order to help a person grow professionally, mentally, all those socially, physically, all those aspects. It's kind of like, how I define mentorship.
Well, I tell you what, man, you're exactly right. There is not one cookie cutter way to mentor, and especially when it comes to different groups and things of that nature. But I tell you, just like with me, when I mentor and things of that nature, what may be mentoring to me might be something totally different to someone else. But it's always good to get these broad perspectives, and I think it's important that we look at how it's needed, right? How it's needed. But like I said, people that want to do these type of things or are interested in it, you don't have to do it through a formal program per se.
Correct.
But either way, we'll definitely get into it a little bit when the experts get on.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you have anything else that you want to add, or well, actually, let me add a story. Let me add a story today, and this just kind of happened out the blue. So I went to the barbershop today. I went to the barbershop today. Shout out to my man Dino, elite barber down in New Bern. We were in the barbershop today, and he told me this story about how he was rushing out of his barbershop because he had to go to school to teach at Craven Community College. And he said that there was a old man that was smoking up there, that was smoking right outside his barbershop. And then he kind of stopped him. He was like, "Hey man, you in a hurry?" And Dino Donnell, he said he thought about actually just kind of ignoring him,
Yeah.
but he turned around, to show respect to the older gentleman. So he turned around, went back, and the guy said, "Hey, are you rushing? Are you late?" And Dino was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Well, if you're late now, you might as well just take your time and get there, because you never know, you may get into an accident." I mean, so I'm sitting there listening to the story, and I was like, you know what? That is an informal way of mentorship. And so that's why I say mentorship can take on a whole different, a lot of different ways, and it can manifest itself in a lot of different ways. But at its core, that's what it was. He saw a young man, he imparted some knowledge, and so that was one aspect of mentorship. So I just wanted to share
Yeah.
that story because I thought the timing was kind of impeccable.
Okay. Cool deal. Cool deal.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we'll
I need
bring
to go.
on
I need to go there and get my beard shaped up a little bit.
yeah. All right, we can bring on Dr. Bell and Miss Henderson. If they want to come on and stop their camera and their video. All righty. All righty. So welcome, Dr. Bell. Welcome, Joanne. And so what we'll do, we'll just let you all just do a brief intro, let everybody know who you are, what your expertise is, what you bring to the subject. And Dr. Bell, hey, I'm liking that jacket. That's a nice jacket. I gotta tell you that.
Thank you, sir.
so
I do what I can. I do what I can.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you get started. Go ahead.
I'm just soon to be 59-year-old brother, recently retired from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and I currently teach at NC State University as well as Capella University, consultant, et cetera, educator. Pretty much a boy from the city of New Bern, by way of Q2 323 Craven Terrace, one of the local housing projects there. So that's a little bit about me at this time.
All right.
All right.
We
And
B17 Trent Court.
yeah. B17 Trent Court is where we hail from. And so we'll bring on. And so Miss Henderson is actually our little sister. So we'll go ahead and bring her on and let her go ahead and introduce herself.
Yeah, that's first. I am the little sister, and so obviously also from New Bern. I'm a talent acquisition leader. Worked in big tech companies for most of my career, and in that capacity, supported and developed early career talent programs, returnship programs, various talent pipelines, and part of that is understanding and figuring out ways that people can progress. That's what we do in talent acquisition. We find talent and put them in great places. So lots of ways to do that and have fun doing it.
Righty.
Joanne. So, little bro, you want to throw the first one out there, or you wanted me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. You got it. I'm gonna defer to my brother.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Hey, listen, Miss Henderson, when dealing with mentoring programs at the executive level, how effective do you think they are in cultivating Black talent?
So that's a loaded question, right? So
Yeah.
mentorship at the exec level or aspiring to the executive level is incredibly important, right? There are different aspects of coaching and mentorship that are necessary to make sure that you're prepared and have the right skill set in preparation to get there. However, especially when it comes to African Americans in corporate America, there can be an over-indexing on mentorship and a lesser emphasis on what I call sponsorship, right? Which is the mechanism to actually have your voice see the table, projects that give you visibility and the practical experience to say that you're ready to tackle the responsibilities of being at the executive level. So I think mentorship is key to that on the background, needing that sponsor, that person of influence, to be able to get you the opportunity to apply the skills that you're learning in your mentorship relationship are key as well. And I would say even more important when you have less than 3% of executives being African American right now in companies, right? The opportunities to have mentors at that level are can be harder, right? But finding those key sponsors is what's going to help propel people into that space. So I think mentorship is key. It can be over-indexed though. There can be a focus on it outside of the other business relationships that can also propel you to move into not just the executive level, but moving up in any organization that you want to progress.
Okay. Good deal.
Yes.
Good deal. All
Well,
right, little bro, what you got?
Yeah, this question is actually going to be for both Dr. Bell and Joanne, and I'll lead in by saying that my background is I was in the military for 20 years, and I would say probably right around my 7 or 8 year mark, I came into contact with probably one of the and he knows that I've expressed this to him over the years, but his name was Rodney Lindsay. And I would tell you, he had more impact on my career, and I would just say both professionally and personally, than anybody that I had encountered. And it was the small things that he did, like having something simple as when you send an email, I have your signature block. I mean, so it was those little trinkets that he did, and it kind of built on and built on. And I would tell you that it prepared my career in definitely a different trajectory, because a lot of times when we talk about mentorship, sometimes we talk about it being reactive. But I think in the case of Rodney Lindsay, he was deliberate in his way of mentoring, and I think those are kind of the differences between reactive and deliberate mentoring or deliberate development. And so my question is, and you can just answer for either your personal or professional background. Can you just name a person that's kind of impacted you as a mentor in any of those avenues?
Okay, I go. As I reflect back, the only persons that I can think of would be mother, father, and great aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as professional working mentors, unfortunately, well, could it be fortunate? I can't name anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is actually a sad state of affairs, because I can remember when I started out professionally, because I started out in social work, then I was into community work a lot. That was my passion, and it was pretty much you do what you can when you can, and you do the best that you can. So knowing that I didn't have that sense of expertise from someone in a field that I wanted to go into, I made a commitment to myself that when I learn something and someone else want to know something, then it is incumbent upon me to reach out and to assist that person with the knowledge and with the experience that I have. Because oftentimes I see those with information, they keep information, but we are going to build up and to help others, then we must bring people along with us. And those of us with experiences, with the talents, and with the skill set should mentor. Some people tell me all the time, oh, Dr. Bell, you're my mentor. And for me, it's just a matter of sharing information, sharing the lessons that I've learned, the experience that I have gained, and to give it to other people. And again, unfortunately, I can't name a person professionally, but personally, mother, father, great aunts, and of course, grandmother. So that's my experience when it comes to the word mentorly professionally. So I often tell people I am who I am as a result of personal mentoring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Good. Joanne, did you want to answer that question also?
Yeah, I can. And what's interesting is that, I was listening to Dr. Bell's example. I'm thinking about the mentorship relationship I've had several in different areas, but how the one I think about now, how it started, it was literally kind of taking a leap and talking to someone about what was a pretty tough situation I was dealing with at work, and hoping that I could trust this person, which means, is there an inherent lack of trust, right? Where, there's, not talking, not exchanging ideas, for whatever reason. And I'm glad that I took that leap, because she was someone that I could trust. And, she gave me such great advice that I did ask her. I said, I really want to, have recurring conversations with you so you can help, mentor me and guide me, because she was in a place that she would help to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting, and that was several years ago, is that at that point, that was a leap of faith conversation. Whereas in current times, there's, formal mentorship programs that are built, and a lot of more mature organizations will have those. And then they have the ones, targeted, women in leadership, different ones based on race, culture, ethnicity. But yeah, but the lack of it really, I think, is like, is there trust, right? Where people feel comfortable, asking for help, asking for advice, and opening that door. And when I made that leap with this person, it was a leap of faith. Like, can I actually trust this person? And it became a mentor relationship. Had I decided that I couldn't and tried to solution this problem on my own, who knows what would have happened? Because so what Dr. Bell said really resonates. Like, is that still a factor, right? That people aren't developing these relationships and opening the door because there's this feeling of hoarding ideas or, lack of trust or, whatever it is that, kind of makes us want to kind of figure things out on our own, versus seeking help and guidance. So the mentor that I had came out of me, hoping that I could trust the person. And I'm glad I did.
Miss
Yes.
Smith, let me
Yes, sir.
just add, as Ms. Henderson was talking, I did reflect. I think I told you that I teach part-time at NC State University. And
Yes,
so
sir.
when I started there, a good friend of mine, Dr. Terrence Ruth, he's on faculty there. And I called him my mentor because I was learning a system that I did not know for as the nuances of technology with the Moodle, et cetera, and some other little fine tuning. And so as we was talking, I thought about at age 58 that I can say that I have been mentored on something because I was clueless. And so he is my mentor.
I got you.
Hey,
Thank
Dr. Bell. So during the time period that you were coming up, obviously, associates, bachelors, masters, PhD. Did you see any of your other colleagues? Were they receiving mentorship from other folks and you were just left out, or how? What was your perception?
Well, I'm thinking with the associate in the back. For me, for my experience, I have always been a focused person.
Okay.
And a part of me knew that I was going to achieve those things that you said.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to my great aunt, who I mentioned before, she was very instrumental in the things that I was able to accomplish when it comes to education. But again, that was a personal relationship, and I valued the things that she said and the things that she imparted in me, as well as my grandmother, mother, and father. And so even when I was working on my master's and my doctorate, I didn't necessarily have anyone that I can call or to say, what should I do? Or should I do this? It was just something that was done, and you see people with things, and I say, well, when can I get that? And so I think that's how I operate, but it's so unfortunate because it becomes a lonely place. And so, but what I'm recognizing now, the question you asked me, I know people working on their doctorate, we talk. And I talk open, and we talk about the process. We talk about not being scared. We talk about APA. We talk about the writing. I say, send me your dissertation. I would take a look at it. We'll do some editing together. So that's mentoring. Now, I didn't have all that. So I knew there was something missing. So it is incumbent upon me to do it for others. Now, I did have people help me with the data and all that.
Yeah.
But someone who was there coaching, and you can do it, or you have any questions, give me a call. So I do that now with a lot of people because I didn't know a lot of people at the time who had those advanced degrees.
Yeah.
And so I did the best I could with hiring somebody to run the data. A friend of mine was good in statistics, tried to explain it to me, do the best he could. But so I tried to think about the things that I missed.
Yeah.
And to give back to people.
Okay. Joanne, let me, because like I said, with me, You know, I'm always going to bring it back because my primary concern and focus, or overall, I'm concerned with my people all the time. And when it comes to mentoring programs on the executive level from what you've experienced, what you've seen, do you think the ones that specifically target minorities are perceived differently than other mentoring programs that are not targeted specifically for minority applicants?
So, wow. Okay, so that's a good question.
It's time to temper a little bit.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I will say that after the wake of the wake of George Floyd and all of the activities that happened after that, um, a lot of companies, organizations became like really hyper focused on developing Black talent, giving opportunities, advancing. Mind you, these are conversations that we've been having for years, right? And obviously, it had fallen on deaf ears prior to 2020. Um, so yes, these programs were being developed. In my previous company, I was the vice president of our African Assery Network, ERG. Some of the questions that we would ask about these mentorship programs is, well, what is the aim? What is the outcome? Right? What is the pathway? Who's the executive sponsor of this program? Right? If there's a Black Women in Tech mentorship program, and then there's a Women in Leadership mentor program. How do they differ? How does the programming differ? It's just very important that when people enter into these types of programs, that they're asking the questions and what's the aim, because the answer is not Black people needing to upskill all the time, right? If we just got more mentorship and we're just be prepared, we would have more opportunity. That's not the answer, right? So, in my mind, when these so-called organic programs started to be developed, and all the focus was put on them, they were hyped up per se. The questions I started asking about those programs is, well, what is the end goal, right?
Okay.
What type of projects, what type of information, what type of opportunities will come as a result of this mentorship program? So that, because a mentorship program, the people who are being mentored are putting in time as well, and they're trusting these people to get them to a certain point. So my answer to that is, potentially, yes, they're looked at differently. So, I'm like, well, what is the reason, right? What is the goal? Like, what's gonna come of me, and what am I gonna have after I complete this mentorship program? And then also, why am I entering it? Right? There's the have the program, which is great, but at this point, I just feel like everything has to be intentional. And it can't just be we have a mentor program, people are in it, we have this number of people mentored, hooray, right? If I'm investing my time, if someone else is investing their time, there has to be a why behind it. And that why has to be the same, if not overbalanced, as the traditional mentor program. As we know, a lot of the diversity initiatives, prior to, did not take into account intersectionality. So white women were, kind of benefited more, than, let's say, Black women or Hispanic women or Native American women, when you don't, take that into account. So, there are definite elements of, like, how does this program differ? What elements of the program are different? And then on top of that, then why isn't a more representation in the quote unquote traditional mentor program, as far as the pathway for more opportunity? So I just say that you don't know, but you got to definitely ask the question. And so if you don't ask the question, you could be participating in something that in the end is going to get you what you want.
Yeah, I guess that's the question I was trying to get at. Do these programs, do they equal access, or is it just something that corporations are just a check off the box? Oh, I did my diversity and inclusion thing, so it's my check off, so I don't have to worry about getting fined or audited. So does it equate to access for minorities in these positions?
Exactly. That is the exact question that I would ask. And I 100%. There was there's a story that I was talking to a friend who works in I&D for another organization, and they were upset because most of there was a mentorship program that they would develop, and people didn't sign up for it, and they were like, well, why aren't people signing up for the program? And one thing they, when they got the feedback is like, you know what, because we all have mentors, but we don't have our sponsors. We don't have someone that with a seat at the table who's given us the projects and the opportunities, in the knowledge and information so that we can get to that particular level. A mentorship program is a very easy way to say that something is being done, but it also implies that mentorship is needed in order to progress, right? As if, okay, if you just got mentored, then you would eventually be ready, as if there's a deficit in the skill set and capability. So it's like, that's why when you think about these programs and the access, that's important. And asking that question, because yeah, sometimes it can be a check in the box. And in those programs, if you ask the question, what is the aim, what is the outcome, does it give you access, and if there's not an answer to that question, then you have to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
that's interesting. Look, before we move on to the next question, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my brother and his wife Tanya. This is their 23rd anniversary. 23 years, man. Congratulations, man, to you and Tanya.
Man. Yeah, man. 23 years. If I may digress for 1 second, I tell you, a lot of people don't know this, but when I met Tanya 23 years ago, I was a bachelor in Kinston in a townhouse, and I was just kind of tending to my business, sweeping my back porch, and this girl drove by in this black Avenger, and she kind of stopped and got out and kind of like waved and asked how I was doing. I said, "How you doing?" And she walked back to that car, and I was like, "Man, I'm gonna get that gal right there." And that was that was in that was in July. And we got married that October, 2 months later. So a lot of people don't know that was a 2-month engagement and marriage, and it's been 23 great years. I think Joanne Mama, maybe I thought she from South Carolina, she put roots on me, but thanks for the happy anniversary, Tanya, if you're out there somewhere. All right. Thanks.
So this is another question that I've been thinking about, and again, while as we thought about this topic, I kind of thought about it back to my career, and I would tell you probably 90% of the mentors that I've had in the military have been males, but I would tell you the first, and bless her name is Deborah Davis. I love her to death. She's a wonderful person. I met her when I was in Germany, but her name is Deb Davis. She's a Caucasian female, and I tell you, it was a stark difference between the type of mentoring that I received from her rather than the mentorship that I received from men. Only because she taught me how to, I guess, for a lack of a better word, have a softer side. Sometimes you don't always have to come on. And the military, there's kind of like a machismo. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but there is sort of a I don't know, an attitude where when you feel like you have to be tough, and always kind of have to be hard nosed is the way that we the way that we describe it. But when I met her, she definitely kind of walked me through how to be a little more softer in my approach in dealing with folks, and it was a difference. And so I guess my question is there a benefit from seeking out a mentor that may not look like you, may not have your background? What's the value in that? And that's for either Dr. Bell or Joanne.
Well, honestly, I can't answer that question because I'm limited in the mentors that I have had. And so I don't have an approach either way, but taking a different approach. But what I can say, aside from mentoring, if I look at support systems of who has been an influence in my life, or who is supportive as we speak, I would say females 100% without question.
Okay.
Without question. And all this, had it not been for sisters support, and encouragement and uplifting, it would be different. So for supportive roles in my life, females, always.
Yes.
Now speechless, yeah.
Yes, sir. I think that the village is held up on the back of sisters.
Always.
I don't think
Without
anybody can
question.
deny that.
Without question. And I applaud the sisters.
Yes, sir.
What about you, Joanne?
Well, it depends on how you define, what, looks like you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I left it broad because I left it open to interpretation. Yes. Deliberately.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a mentor. My son's phone, he has I have the thing set up so his phone goes through my notifications, but um and she is she is of Indian descent, and she is amazing. I've been a mentor to people, um, male, female, white. I think the difference is who you come in contact with, who your circle is,
Yeah.
and who you connect with. And I think it's just important to always be open, right? Obviously having mentors that can relate to you in certain ways are is key. And what that means for everybody is different.
Yeah.
The person, the mentor that I have right now, she's of Indian descent. She's a leader in my field, but we relate because our perspectives are similar. But she challenges me in really positive ways and challenges my thinking, and so I always appreciate that. So it's just important to kind of think about the relationships, especially from a personal and professional standpoint. How you connect with someone is beyond, I guess, any of the things you check on the box when they call protected classes, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
good. That's
good
good.
answer. Yeah, I think that I think when it comes to things like that, I think when it comes to African Americans, specifically, I think mentoring takes on or the concept takes on a whole new dynamic because of our history. I think it was W.B. Du Bois and the Souls of Black Folk that mentioned in the Talent Tent. We said that when those individuals who will go off to succeed or excel, whatever, they have to come back and pull the other ones up. And I think that for such a long time, when you're locked out of certain areas and arenas, it's not often that you see people that look like you in those arenas. But like I said, mentoring takes on different shapes, forms, and colors. So yeah, that was I like that. So let me, Dr. Bill, may I ask you a question, sir? This is one that education. That's something I'm passionate about, and you're passionate about as well. I know statistically, when you're in the school system, that I know there's this moniker that when America catches a cold, uh, African Americans catch the flu, but when you just aggregate that a little lower, it seems that Black males catch pneumonia. So for whatever reason, especially in the school system, let me ask you: do you think that that mentoring is needed or is required, or something that schools should take a better look at when it comes to dealing with Black males?
No and yes.
Okay.
Let me explain on that. Mentoring must have, I believe, it should have its beginning in the community. Be it whatever the social organization is to be, that must happen in the community. Now, if a community group desires to implement programs within a system or school system, then of course, but I don't think it's incumbent upon a school to develop a mentoring program, because then you're leaving the mentoring to the system. So not only is the school educating, supposedly providing a sound basic education, but now we have given the mentorship to our children to a system. And the question becomes, what will the mentoring be about? And so the community must get involved with mentoring in conjunction with some activity or some avenue within a school system. But I, as a parent, would be hesitant to support that if community persons are not involved in the implementation, in the actualization of a mentoring program. So community, perhaps, into the schools, but from the school, mentoring into the community, no. Because then, Brother James, there'll be an issue with people saying, well, what are they teaching my kids in a mentoring program? What are they doing? Who's providing the mentoring? Does this mentor needs to be vetted? Do we need to vet the mentoring curriculum?
Yeah.
And so that's an issue. So, because I look at it this way, schools can't be all to all people at all times for all things. And so mentoring, however it's defined and however the program is shaped and delivered, we do know that positive ongoing influences from experts, somebody knows something that somebody wants to do, or to show the boy or the young girl the right versus the wrong way, and to be productive and be active and to put them on the narrow path. That's important. But that's a community issue, facilitated, perhaps supported by the system.
Yeah, I think I see exactly what you're saying. That makes sense, because I'm thinking, if you're leaving it to the system to mentor the children, especially Black boys and Black girls specifically, if you look at the data is clear across socioeconomic backgrounds, whatever, something's within the system that there's that achievement gap. So I guess you're given the same system that's producing the achievement gap to remedy the problem. So I guess, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I reflected when I was operating an after-school program for about 12 years in New Bern. And so we did all the positive things there in the community, in the neighborhood. We put things into the young folks in the community, in there. And so consequently, when you go to school, you should have something in you, because we, the community, put it there. We put it there that you are possible, you can dream, you can achieve, you can do. We put it there in the community. We brought in speakers and mentors and all of that to make sure you were equipped when you cross over into school land, so to speak. So no, that's a community endeavor.
Yeah. So basically, it's incumbent upon the village to go look after our children.
Look, and whoever wants to be part of that village,
yes,
it is incumbent upon the villagers to do what we can, when we can, and how we can in the community for the positive uplifting of our children, and not waiting on the Superman phenomenon or someone in another system to mentor what we have. Because the system will say, well, they're fine just like they are. And so we have to do things in the village. If you don't have a village, create the village.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah. Well, do you have any more questions, Junior?
Oh, well,
I think I've asked all the ones that I've had.
Oh, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with Dr. Bell, listen, you have this, the Black Male Summit that's coming up in New Bern. We put that on several times in New Bern. It's been a very successful. I guess the first part of what was the impetus for you to come up with the concept of the Black Male Summit?
Well, as you know, perhaps many, I always had a passion for uplifting people. And because I've been a Black male for 58 years, I know a little something. I'm an expert in that field.
Do you consider yourself an elder now?
Yes, yes, I am. In comparison
Yes, sir. Yes,
to
sir.
those who are much younger.
Yes, sir.
And so I've always had that passion for working with Black males because, as you know, what we see on TV, what we hear, the demographics, talk about the demographics, and things are not always pleasant. But here's what I do know. All of us are not in jail.
Mhm.
All of us, many of us never had a criminal record. Most of us are positive, productive, uplifting brothers. But there's a segment of the population that we have to reach back and do the very best that we can do to let them know that things are possible, even in the darkest hour that you can make. And so my work has always focused on Black males to do what I can to positively make a difference. And so wherever I work, when I was a social worker in New Bern, I still had a focus in working with Black males. When I was a middle school teacher in New Bern, I always had a group of Black males in the community. And sometimes, Jane, now this happened. I was teaching at H.J. McDonald Middle School, and I was the school counselor at the time. And I got this small grant, and I asked the principal, could I do a summer program in the school for Black males? Absolutely. Now, I don't know if that would be acceptable in 2021, but it was then. And so that's always been my passion, Black males, to do what I can.
Yeah, I echo that, Dr. Bell. I don't know if you remember this, it's been 20 years, but I worked that summer program with the Everyday Reporting Center in New Bern that year. So I remember very well, and I know exactly what you're saying, especially because I was at Grover C. Fields Alternative Education Coordinator.
Right.
And I remember talking to the principal about how I wanted to run the program. So the first thing I did was pull the discipline data from the previous year. And the previous year, 80% of the referrals, 80% was between about 9 males at that school. 80%.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
and so I know exactly. Then you put in what happened. What I experienced though, when you put in programs or strategies to try to address the issue, spiffy, dress them up, taking the field trips. Sometimes you got pushback from other teachers. Why are you doing all that for the bad boys? So what I think and what I've seen is that mentorship, it also takes on advocacy.
It does.
I think it goes hand in hand.
But you must be an advocate.
Yes, sir.
Because oftentimes, when we talk about social justice work and advocacy, so that there has to be this idea of social justice work, even in education and advocacy, because we have to do what's just, what is right. And oftentimes, we all know the story, that sometimes African-American males, Black males, there is no idea of social justice in some of their outcomes. That's the reality. And so wherever I worked, mental health, DPI, wherever it was, I had to be an advocate. I just had to be. And because I didn't want to be in a space and to not advocate. I remember a quick story. I was working at DPI and there was a conference. There was a conference, a national conference that I wanted to go to. It was Black Male Educators something conference, and I wanted to go. And so I was denied attendance at that conference. The reason being, now I'm at the State Department, right? That why would I want to go to a national conference? Why? And I'm sitting there and I said, it should be the mission of the other department to be concerned about the education of Black boys, but it wasn't. So the conference request was denied. Second story, I wanted to present at a conference that DPI sponsored. And my presentation was going to be on the lived experiences of Black boys in school. The presentation was denied by a Black man. Wait, the story gets, a Black man denied it. But make a long story short, I was able to present at the conference on Black males that DPI sponsored. So we have to be advocates in all spaces. We have to be.
Well, yeah. Cause man, I see, man, look, schools are getting a lot of money, a lot of money to close this achievement gap, whether it be Black males or whatever. And with all the millions, and I dare say millions and millions of dollars that's going into these local school districts to fix the problem, it seems that the problem's getting worse. So
Jay, here is my taking. I often ask people, how much money would it take to close the gap? No one knows. How much money would it take? And so here's my belief. It's not about the money. It's what people do with the money. And so if it were about the money, then what is the figure? What is the total bottom line that would make a difference or close the quote gap? What's the dollar figure? There is no dollar figure. And so here's what I know, and you know it as well as I do, because you are what I call the community historian. There has been an educational gap since the creation of public schools. Not only a gap, there has been an ocean of differences since the beginning of public school, since the beginning of time. Think about your ancestors as well as mine, where they were educated, received education in a gap system from the very beginning. And so gaps have existed, and gaps will continue. But even with the gaps, James, success still can happen.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm a product of a gap.
Yes, sir.
So even with a gap.
Okay.
And so the question becomes, why money? And how much money would it take? It's not about the money.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my thoughts.
Yes, sir. So let me close out with let me get you one last question that I wanted to pick back on in reference to the summit. Now, this year, I know you got the Black Male Summit. I know the village concept and the mentoring concept and everything. This year, all of your discussants are females. Now, there may be some that may want to ask, if this is a Black Male Summit, why do we have all discussants that happen to be female this year?
Because of the necessity in the village. Because of necessity in the village. Now, as I said earlier, sisters, females, if you will, have always been present. Have always been present. And since we have been on this journey in working with Black males since I can remember, we typically have showcased the speakers in general have been males. But this time, all females, because females, sisters, mothers, guardians have a different perspective, totally different perspective. And their voices must be heard in a unified front in providing them an opportunity to talk about their concerns, their issues, the things that they have done, maybe as a single mother, maybe not as a single mother, but they are mothers of Black sons. So they have a voice, and their voices must be heard. And so I said, we're going to have a summit, and all the speakers are going to be females. If we're going to do this work, James, the sisters needs to be in the head of the line. They have to be.
Okay.
Now, some brothers will disagree, and that's great, because that's the part of America. We can disagree. But the sister needs to be ahead of the line, because I'm only speaking from experience. Now, I grew up with a mother and a father in the home. Both grew up with mother and a father in the home, no question about it. Father was just as active as the mother. But when I look through my experiences throughout my life, it was the sisters, it was the females who supported and uplifted me. It was the sisters who told me you can do. It was the sisters, when I get finished speaking, come up to me and say, great job. It was the sisters when I need encouragement for something. It was the sisters. It was the sisters. It was the grandmas.
Thank you very much.
It was the grandmas
Say it again,
and the aunts.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little impartial because I have girls, and I just happen to believe that I think that I don't know. I think that both males and females they deserve the same amount of mentorship opportunities, especially if it's like you said, the sisters are the ones that gave you the encouragement. That would mean that we need to put more emphasis on sisters. Well, I would say on females as males, because I think that regardless of what race you are, I can tell you that when I was supervising females that happened to be that were raising boys, whether they're Black or white, they had the same struggles if they were doing it by themselves. So I guess my background, I've always worked in a more diverse area, and I guess for me, I don't see that kind of delineation, because the issues, the struggles of raising kids, boys and girls, I think it's the same.
Well,
having a boy and a girl.
Well, yeah, I think that when it comes to that, I guess what happens is that there are always issues with society, whether it be Black, white, what have you. Everybody had the same issues. And I think that the thing is that whatever issues in the greater society, which I have a good grasp on, it tends to impact our people a little differently.
Right.
And so with me, and I make no bones about it, everybody knows me, even though I have a great grasp of what going on in the greater society, I have decided a long time ago that my niche is going to be pulling my people up. Doesn't mean I ignore other people, but my concern is always going to be my people. But that doesn't mean that when I'm working with groups, I won't help anybody else.
Right.
But I know what my priority is. But look, I think the hour is our time limit. Look, I want see if anybody wants to, Dr. Bell and Mrs. Henderson, I keep saying Mrs. I want to Joanne. If y'all want to give any closing remarks, please feel free.
I can just say it's been a great discussion. I think some of the most fulfilling I know we talked a lot about myself, how we have been mentored, but the mentorship relationships that I've had with students, especially, professionally, children of my friends who have entrusted me to mentor and guide them in different capacities has been amazing. So I'll just leave the audience and whoever listens to this recording afterwards with a call to action, and to kind of start off with what Dr. Bell said in the very beginning, which is, if you know, then you know, right? And it's important for you to let other people know so that they can do better too. And so it doesn't matter where people come from. I think a lot of times we assume that if someone's of a certain, the thing is they assume that they're certain, like, they have two parents and all this stuff and they don't need mentorship versus, everyone needs someone to help and support them. And I just say a call to action: if you have the opportunity to help someone in the capacity, what you do, to take that opportunity and do it, because you never know the impact that you'll make with someone. So just important to do that. So I would just like to leave with a call to action. Just say it's incredibly fulfilling when you do get the opportunity to. And that's my final word. And Dr. Bell, on to you.
Well, thank you. My final words would be, I just wish the older generation would mentor more. Because I have spoken with people who want to learn different, and they can't get the support from the older people. I'm talking about 70, 80-year-old people. And they are feeling like, why don't they just move out the way or show us what we need to do so we could do some of these things. And I don't want to leave that type of legacy myself. So whenever I can help someone to do something, I'm open to do that. And again, even when I'm asked to speak sometimes, I have taken younger people with me and I introduce the person and I sit down and let that person carry on. And so that's some of the things that I hear people talking about who's looking for mentorship. But the older generation will not reach down, reach out, reach to, and give it to them. And so I think it's necessary. If you have the information, share the information and reach and help someone or refer someone to do something, because you don't always have to be that person, but show someone how to do it. And that's not good. That's not good. And I see people holding information. Share it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. What you got, Ant?
Well, I mean, this was definitely a good conversation. I think based on the panel, you can see that we've all have varying degrees of lanes and expertise, and I'll just say I mentioned the two people who probably had earlier in my career, Deb Davis and Rodney Lindsay. Those are the two people that definitely had an impact in my career. So one person can make a difference. I think that's what it shows. So kind of like what my sister said, if I can have a call to action, I will say that you just look around, and this could be for young children, and it can also be for your colleagues at work. If you see someone that's doing something that's really good, and you aspire to do that, just take look, my sister took a chance and reached out to her mentor, and it was a good relationship. So just take a step out on faith, and just ask for help, ask for assistance. Because like I say, at the core, it is about it's about a relationship. It's about it's a mutual relationship. And then if trust is incorporated, then it can definitely grow you professionally and personally. So that's all that I have.
All right. All right. Yeah, man, I think that it's like you say, as clearly illustrated, it's more than one way to get to a destination. And like I said, from lived experiences and from everything, I think what I can get from here is that advocacy and access. Mentoring has to equal advocacy and access. You have to advocate for people and put them in positions to, when they get to those positions, they have the tools to gain access. So this has been a wonderful discussion. Dr. Bell, thank you very much for coming on. Joanne, or Ms. Henderson, excuse me. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the discussion. Please, people out, please, if you have any comments or any ideas, just please hit us up. And that's all I got, man.
All right.
All right. Okay.